Hello, Jamie Novak here, your bite-sized living specialist. And today, I'm here to share with you a few lessons from Hurricane Irene. The first of which is nothing, and I mean nothing, beats the sound of the buzz of a chainsaw early in the morning. You know, I mean, you may have your alarms that go off to a radio station or a sound machine with the gentle lapping sound of ocean waves. But I tell you, for a really kickstart, get them up, jump out of bed, I gotta go adrenaline flowing, especially when you don't have coffee because your power's out, nothing, and I mean nothing, beats the sound of a chainsaw in the morning. Of course, the other is that multitasking is basically impossible. I know we've talked about it before, and you may have heard me say, well, it's not such a great idea. Well, I know for a fact that it is virtually impossible to multitask. It really is impossible to do anything with one hand well when you're trying to hold a flashlight in the other. So I've come to the realization that we have been right all along, and multitasking is not a good idea. Of course, attitude is absolutely everything. And during the time, the very long time that we were without power, a period of that time, water was questionable. We weren't really going very far. There was tremendous amounts of flooding, and even if you could get out in a boat or something, then there were trees down and blocking your path. So if you were on the East Coast and sort of experienced some of that, or maybe you have in the past, of course we're thankful that she has passed us by, and grateful that there wasn't more destruction or loss of life in her path. That being said, it was quite inconvenient. And there's a lot of lessons to be learned here. And as I say, attitude is truly everything. You know, I really, it took me, I'll say to be honest, about 24 hours to get in the right frame of mind, because I kept thinking I was missing something. When was the power going to come back? I should be able to plug in, and we'll talk about plugging in just a minute. But once I kind of got over that hurdle and kind of crossed through that, then I started to really embrace the time where I didn't need to be plugged in and connected, but I had to adjust my attitude. Otherwise, I was going to be miserable, because I found very early on that I was kind of on edge. I was a little upset. I was kind of cranky. I wanted to call PSE&G and ask them exactly when. I needed a deadline. But once I let all that go and really just enjoyed as best I could, and sort of just took it all in, and I realized that, you know, having to barbecue or something wasn't the end of the world. It really was enjoyable. And I know that sounds kind of weird, especially if you didn't go through it, or if you went through it and it wasn't as bad or worse than what I had, then maybe you're feeling ahead on what she's talking about. But I promise you, there were many people I met that kind of embraced that same attitude, and we were having a great old time and able to laugh and enjoy it and kind of just roll with it and kind of have that flexibility. Then there were other people that didn't quite get there. And you know, they didn't have the same experience that I did. So attitude is truly everything. Now, with the idea of plugging in, I did realize I was a little too dependent on things that plugged in. And by that I mean all of the electronics in my life, the computer, the cell phone, the GPS, everything seemed to be connected to a power cord that then didn't work. And also a can opener, which I didn't think of right away, but luckily I thought of before the stores closed. And even something as simple as a can opener obviously wouldn't work when the power was out if it's not manual. So these are the types of things that when you can prepare in advance and get that can opener, that was fantastic. So whatever you could do in advance, even so far as laying out the different things that you think you might need, like extra batteries and the flashlight. And I tell you, a little sample can of glow-in-the-dark paint, or the little like sticker stars and glow-in-the-dark that are meant to go like on the ceiling in a children's room. Fantastic, because you can go ahead and stick those near outlets or on battery covers or the backs of flashlights, and it's so easy then to, when a beam hits it, you see exactly where you need to go. I even put a little dab over the key lock, so that now, when it's dark and a light hits it, I can see exactly where the key needs to go. So super, super simple. Whatever you can do to prepare in advance, whenever there is some kind of warning. And we talked about paperwork and the list of important documents, and you can find that at jamienovak.com. So of course, I found out for real who my true friends and family are. They're the ones that when I said, we're probably going to have to evacuate, They said, come on over. We don't care what you're bringing. Holly's welcome. Come on in. Don't worry about a thing. And there wasn't any sort of feeling of it's going to be an inconvenience or, gosh, let me get you the number to the local hotel. So you really got to see. And these are the kind of friends and family that, you know, even though you don't have a full face of makeup on and kind of can hide behind that, you're just real and you are as you come and they accept you anyway. And that's an awesome feeling to have those people in your life. So those are the people you want to spend more time with. And the ones that were kind of like, oh, let me see if there's a number to a hotel that I can get you. Those would probably be the ones to spend a little less time with and kind of create more of a balance with that. And of course, organizing counts. You knew I was going to talk about it, but it's very difficult when you need to maneuver your way around, if you have to really threaten your little toe, if you're going to stub it because there's stuff that was left out, or worse, you have the danger of, you know, falling downstairs because things were left on the staircase and then in the dark you can't find them. So organizing absolutely counts, and truly keeping like with like was one of the best things that I could say I did, knowing that all the batteries were together and all the flashlights were together and all the candles were together and all the emergency supplies were together and all the vet paperwork was together so that Holly could come with us to the shelter, because many of them do require that you have your vaccination certificate and rabies tag and things. So having that handy and ready to go was really, really helpful. Of course, patience helps. Just knowing that you can't control it and letting go of as much of that feeling of needing to control it as you can, and then being as patient as possible and trusting that those that are in charge of your power and water and cutting down those trees are truly moving at the best pace possible and doing as much as they can. And I also have to say that I realize now that I didn't do as much for the Red Cross through the years as maybe I should have or certainly could have. And, you know, to know that they were here and set up a shelter and had cots and a place to sleep and a safe roof over your head and food and water and showers and ability to clean your clothes. You know, those are just some of the basic things that, quite honestly, I personally took for granted, and I really don't anymore. So I certainly hope to maintain that sense of humility going forward without the need for another hurricane. So we're good. Plenty of water, drought's over, our lawns are watered, our flowers look great. There's been some natural pruning of the trees, and we're good now. So that in mind, I'm going to grab my deck of cards and go play another hand. It got a little tedious playing cards by candlelight, but to be honest, when the power came back on, I kind of missed it. You know, when that power came on, we heard hoots and hollers and cheers all throughout the town, and our block specifically was just really going wild and celebrating, kind of like it was New Year's. And that's almost kind of how I felt, like it was a new beginning. And for just a moment, I just wanted to stop, and I just wanted to stay in that place of simplicity and candlelight and card games and communication, you know, face-to-face conversations that were happening that I hope will continue to happen. But I wonder, because now we're back to plugging stuff in and being sort of, you know, closed off and sitting in a chair by ourselves. So I'm going to try very hard going forward to balance that, and I hope you'll join me in a game of cards as we celebrate lessons learned from Hurricane Irene. This has been Jamie Novak, your bite-sized living specialist, and I hope you'll share with me your experiences. Head over to jamienovak.com. You can click the Facebook icon, and we'll continue the conversation there. Until next time, have a clutter-free and bite-sized day.